Hello everybody, this video is about selection of control points and edit in a Rhino. Let's start. The first what I'm going to do is to create a surface. Using sweep one rail, and I would like to use this curve as a rail, and a circle at this end as a cross section. So I'm going to use this circular curve to create a circle in the current version of Rhino simply by selecting a curve. Its control points will be displayed in previous version of Rhino. You might have to click on this icon or type points on at the command prompt. Also, you can press the F10 key on the keyboard to display control points on curves, as well as surfaces before I proceed to create the surface. I would like to bring up a consideration that is critical for creating curves with smooth flow and transition. In order to create curves with smooth flow and transition, we should as fast as possible avoid having control points that are on the curve itself. This is because control points on curve itself can create a discontinuity in the curve. Let me give you an example by pulling this point which is on the curve itself and see what happens. You notice that this transition is not smooth at all. That's because this control point is on the curve itself. So as you can see, we should avoid having control points on the curve itself. If you want to have a smooth transition, so how do we solve this issue? What we can do is to rebuild this curve. Let's do it now. So I'm going to type review and then select our curve, and you'll notice that currently our curve is having degree 2. Hence we have these points on the curve itself. In order for the circle to be created, so what we need to do is to change the degree to 3. And we might have to increase the point count. So I'm going to increase to 12, okay, and then click OK. Now you notice that the control points are no longer on the curve itself. And if I were to move the point, you notice that the transition is still a smooth one. But here is no longer sharp as in the previous case. So this is an important factor to look out for when creating curves that needs to be smooth. Okay, right now, let's proceed to create the surface using the sweep one rail command. Then I got the surface, and as mentioned, if I want to turn on the control points, I can click on this icon, or I can use the hotkey, the F10 key. So I'm going to press F10 now, and you'll notice that control points has been displayed. I'd like to show you how we can select entire rows of control points. To do that, simply double-click anywhere along 2 adjacent points. They are indicative of the direction of the rows. So in this case here, I want to select this row. I can simply click anywhere between 2 adjacent points along here. So let's say I just double-click here, and you'll notice that I'm able to select the entire row. And if I want to select, let's say another row, I can hold the Shift key, double-click. Yeah, you got something like that, okay. I'm going to deselect all these control points. They are selected by pressing the Escape key. And in a similar fashion, let's say I want to select this row, I can double-click. Let's say here or here click. Yes, I'm able to select this stuff here, okay. And let's say if I want to make this part bigger, we can use the gumball. You can use the gumball, and over here I want to stress that. We have options such as align to C-plane and align to object. So if you want the scaling to be more in line with that of the object selected, you might want to select align to object. In this case here, it's not going to be obvious because we have a whole group of objects. I'm pressing the Shift key now, so we can see that I'm able to just scale this row. Let me illustrate what I meant by the application or align to object. So let me select this, or rather just select one point here. You notice that right now I'm using the align to object. And you notice that the orientation of the arrows are placed in such a way that they are following the flow of that surface with regards to the position of the point. Because this one selected here, this arrow is denoting the normal at that point. So this is the advantage of using the aligned object. If let's say I were to use the line to C plane, you can see that we are simply aligning to the directions on the construction plane, which might not be so relevant in our case here. Because let's say I want to move it in a way that is more perpendicular to the surface. I should use the line to object. So align the object now allows me to select this case like this, so this is a useful thing to consider. Let's say I want to select this. I can move in such a way that is giving us better control over the manipulation of the control points. And if you like to have even more controls over the selection of control points, you can open up this toolbar. Go to the Select toolbar, and under the lasso points, you press and you can pull out the Select Points toolbar, which provide for any other point selection commands. Okay, let's say I want to select a point that is next to this along the U direction. I can click on it, and then click on this icon. You can see that I'm selecting the next point that's along the U direction. Okay, by clicking on it, you can select this way. And to reverse the direction, you simply do a right mouse click and reverse the direction. Alright, the next thing is the Select U and Select V. It is similar to the first demo that I've done. Let me show you how we can use it. In this application over here, let's say I want to select the U direction points along here. I can simply click on any of the central point along here. Let's say I click on this, and then click on the Select View. You notice that the whole row in the U direction has been selected. Okay, in a similar fashion, if I want to select in the V direction, can select any of the points that is on it, and then click the Select V, OK. Something like that. And maybe I'll talk about one more command, is the selecting points by brushing. If you were to click on this, you can select the points by simply brushing over that region there, something like that. OK. Then with that, I come to the end of this demo. This has been useful for understanding the impressions of controls point over surface creation and selection methodology of control points. Thanks for watching. See you in next videos.